Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for another episode of Fuck, Marry,
Hi guys, welcome to the FMK podcast. I'm your host Britt.
And I'm your host Devika. For those of you who haven't listened to the previous episodes, FMK is a podcast where we play on that childhood favorite game of everybody's, where you're given 3 options and you have to decide which one you'd want to spend a night with, which one you'd want to stay with forever, and which one gets the axe.
Yeah, and you probably don't want to do any of those things with anyone. Maybe kill, but
No.
also
Yeah,
it's
for sure.
pretty improbable that you would ever get the chance. But anyway.
A lot of these are just concepts,
yeah.
but you get the game.
Yeah.
It's all in good fun.
Don't be gross. Devika, what are you drinking? We're doing our wine segment.
So I am drinking this Portuguese wine. I'm in Portugal, so all of my wines will be Portuguese, basically.
What does it say?
And it's called Cartucha.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a Evora line from the Alentejo region of Portugal, just in case.
Wasn't that last week too?
Yeah, I like Alentejo wines.
Got it.
Douro Valley is like the really popular one, but I like Alentejo Reds. Have you ever heard of the app Vivino?
No.
So if you ever want to be fancy, get this app Vivino. Always get this app Vivino, and you can like take a picture of the wine, and then it has all these ratings, and people describe it in those ways. You know, like it's oaky with like a silk finish or whatever.
Yeah. I'm always bad
and
at
then
that.
You just read a couple of those. Well, that's why you just read the thing, and then go to a party. And
I had a producer once. I'm not going to name the person. I ended up having to go to drinks with them, and they were like swirling their wine and just acting like they knew everything. And they're like, "Can you taste the chalk? It's so chalky. Do you taste the chalk?" And I'm like, "No, bitch, I gotta go."
Yeah,
it was so weird.
I've heard inky. I like inky wines. Apparently,
okay.
I don't know exactly what that means, but I like inky wines.
Yeah. I just like wine.
I haven't tried chalky. Well, what are you drinking?
I am drinking, I was so excited. It's a Sauvignon Blanc, as I do, but it's from Silverado Vineyards, which is in Yountville, California.
Cool.
Yountville is about 20 minutes from Napa, and my 13 Reasons Why crew and I would go to Yountville all the time and drink, and there's an amazing restaurant in Yountville that you guys have to go to. It's called Bistro Gentil. So Bouchon is sort of the famous one in Yountville, but Bistro Gentil, even their house wine is like chef's kiss.
Really
everything
good.
is so delicious, and I don't know. I am kind of like jonesing to go back. Maybe we should go.
There you go. Got to make a trip.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
I'd love to go back there sometime. What's been new with you? What's going on?
Oh my gosh, I had the best day yesterday. I did something kind of out of the norm. I took a private tennis lesson, which...
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
But you've been playing tennis forever.
Yes, I played in high school. I wasn't like amazing or anything, but I was pretty good. And then I've just been kind of hitting in Florida a lot, and I play with my uncle a little bit, but I've never really been sure if I still got it. So I went and played, and girl, I still got it. It was good. I was so happy.
That's awesome. That's great.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah.
I've been, we just got back from Copenhagen, and it was a really good time. My father-in-law's birthday. And then I got back. I have a funny little anecdote. So yesterday I went to a friend's house for dinner, and it was like a group of us, and I was wearing like an all black outfit with some gold accents. You know, I was really feeling myself. And I was sitting on the floor at some point, and one of my friends, he was sitting next to my husband, and they were kind of chatting, and he was looking over at me, and my husband's like, "Hey, like he wanted to tell you something." And he goes like, "You look really Hollywood right now." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, thank you." No, but then without missing a beat, with such enthusiasm, he goes, "Yeah, you're like a female."
Uh-oh.
He goes, "You're like a female Seth Rogen."
What? That's not a compliment at all. Really
no, but like he really thought that like he was he was so excited to like, tell me, and when I was just like completely floored. And by the way, I love Seth Rogen, but like I don't think any woman really wants to be like,
A stoned white guy?
Oh, you're like, yeah, like just in general, right? Like any female actress would have been like, felt a little bit better. But he was like really standing by it. He's like, what do you mean? I love Seth Rogen. I was like, no, me too. But yeah, I've been laughing about it like all day.
That's
Like
hysterical.
it was so funny.
But how
It
would
was
that
so funny.
transfer to you? Like what part of Seth Rogen?
I don't know.
Just that
I
you were
don't know.
Hollywood?
And his wife was sitting across from me and she just looked at him like, what are you saying?
I'm going to call you Seth the rest of this episode.
Yep. I'm Seth. That's me.
You know what I was thinking about? So you probably already know this. I love the podcast Morbid so much.
Yeah. Oh, they're awesome.
Did you listen to it?
Yeah. You introduced me to them and I really like them.
Okay.
Yeah.
They call their listeners weirdos. And I was just like drifting off one night and I was like, what would we call our listeners? And then I'm like, fuckers.
Ooh, that's a good one.
What do you think?
Yeah, because
should we call our listeners?
Yeah, let's see how they feel about that before we hit them with it. Yeah, exactly.
In a kind, loving way.
Out there. In a kind, loving way. In an
all right,
endearing
fuckers,
way.
it's my episode.
Yeah, we'd be fuckers, so it's all good.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, kick us off. Let's go.
Yeah, we're going to go. I got weird with this one. You know how I like true crime. So I went back into that in a little different category. I did female serial killers first. This time we're going to do cults.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yes. Love me a good cult. Let's go.
I found some weird ones.
I mean, not to be a part of, but
Right. I feel like we're all weirdly a part of some sort of cults because you can just kind of fit. I don't know. If you like something, you can be considered a cult.
Totally. Actually, yes. I agree with that. Yeah.
And it got me thinking. I actually looked up the definition of cults because I was like, some people say Christianity is a cult. Some people say like following a sport is a cult. But the Merriam-Webster dictionary says it is a religion regarded as unorthodox or spurious. Spurious meaning not genuine. And they also said it is a great devotion to a person, idea, object, or work, which is like very broad, super broad.
That's very broad. Yeah. It's interesting that they say religion.
Yes.
Like they, Okay, cool.
Cambridge Dictionary also said a religious group often living together whose beliefs are considered extreme or strange by many people. So it's very subjective as far as that goes. Anybody can kind of choose what they think is a cult. It didn't really narrow it down. Like I'm part of the Peloton cult.
Me too.
And my god is Bradley Rose because I have a massive crush on him. I'm not allowed to though.
It's hard not to. I
love him. Okay. So cult number 1. You ready?
Ready.
This one is called the True Russian Orthodox Church. So it's different than just the Russian Orthodox Church.
Okay.
It's led by a self-declared leader called Pyotr Kuznetsov. I looked up how to pronounce that, and I think that's right. He established this quote-unquote church. He was a divorced architect who came from a deeply religious family. He left his whole family and went off to spread, it's a doomsday prophecy that he was spreading around across Belarus and Russia. And he eventually landed near a village called Nikolskoye. I think it's called Nikolska. That's it. Which is in the Penza region of central Russia. So central Russia. Peter, over his travels, was able to gather between 29 and 35 followers. So it was relatively small. That number always changed as people went and came. As he gained followers, they would all take refuge in abandoned houses as they went across all these areas, Belarus, Russia, etc. Peter kind of potlucked ideas from different religions. So he kind of cherry picked whatever he wanted and then said, that's the word, which I feel like a lot of religions do.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. He convinced his followers to never use electricity, money, or consume any media. So basically living in the dark and using no money. Also to stop eating foods that had barcodes.
So like nothing processed.
Nothing processed, nothing with a barcode. And this was in order to avoid the Antichrist. So the Antichrist really liked scanning foods, apparently.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so
No
weird.
Beyond Meat for the Antichrist.
Yeah. And I also saw in a couple of sources that he liked to sleep in a coffin. He loves the drama, I guess. I don't know.
Ooh. Is this going to have like a vampire
For
tilt
some
to
effect.
it, maybe?
Not
All right,
particularly.
I'll let you.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
I won't guess. Yeah.
His overall message was basically the world is going to end in May of 2008. So this was relatively recent. You, my followers, are the chosen ones that are going to be saved. And the only way to be saved is to go into this remote underground cave in freezing ass Russia and seclude yourselves from the rest of the world. So that was going to happen in May 2008. The world was going to end. So in November of 2007, just months before, these people, his followers, stalked the cave that they were to go into with kerosene, explosives, and non-barcoded food. And they became known in the area as the Penza Recluses. They were just kind of going to sit out the end of the world. And they threatened if anyone came in to get them out of the cave, they threatened mass suicide via blowing themselves up with this kerosene and explosives if authorities tried to like intervene and save anyone. They claimed the inside of the cave was a nice 17 degrees Celsius, which translates to 62 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't think it was. It was like, it was cold as shit. And they just were told to say that it's like comfortable and we're fine in here and yada, yada, yada. The way the cave was discovered was a daughter of one of the chosen recluses in the cave complained about them going missing, about their family member going missing. When authorities approached the cave, gunshots rang out from the cave to warn them to stay away. Family members were also brought in to try and convince the recluses to come out, and they even brought out Russian Orthodox monks to get them out, but nothing worked at all. So, in March of 2008, which is about 4 months later from November, 7 women emerged from the cave needing serious medical attention. 3 days later, 14 more members emerged because the cave started collapsing in on itself. Mm-hmm. So after this cave collapsed, people still stayed. They were like so convinced that Peter, his word was correct. So in May of 2008, so that was 6 months after they went into the cave initially, 9 more members emerged from the cave. This is disgusting because it had become filled with toxic fumes from dead bodies of 2 members that had not made it out alive. So it was reeking of death and they barely could breathe and the cave had closed in and they just couldn't take it anymore. And 2 people ended up dying. But here's the kicker. Peter never went into the cave with his followers. He told them to go in and was conveniently arrested right after they all went into the cave. So
seriously,
yeah, he didn't. He obviously was like a pussy and just didn't go in there and, gave himself to the cops. It seems in April of 2008, though. So this is a couple. Oh, this is before they even came out. The last ones came out in April. He attempted suicide, and authorities thought this was because he actually realized his prediction was completely wrong. He later was declared a paranoid schizophrenic and spent his time in psychiatric hospitals. And then I couldn't find anything else about the rest of his life, but I pray he was kept in captivity the rest of his life because he's obviously a very dangerous, convincing man. Yeah. And that is the True Russian Orthodox Church.
Wow. And that was so recent. I'm actually really surprised that I didn't hear about it in the news because that's like a lot of...
Yeah. It's wild. It was in Russia, so I don't know. It is kind of crazy news, though.
Yeah, totally.
So that's your first cult. On to the next.
Okay.
This one is called the 11, the number 11. There is actually a Netflix special on this, so you may have heard about it already. It's called The House of Secrets. this is an unsolved mystery cult.
Ooh,
So
okay.
this story starts out with the Chundawat family in Burari, Delhi, India. I hope I'm saying all that right.
Okay.
Burari is in the central district of Delhi. They were also known as the Bhatia family by neighbors. They were a middle-class family of 11 people, and they ran
I think
a
I've heard
grocery...
of this one. Sorry, I think I've heard of this one. I
Oh,
think
okay.
because of
Yeah,
the
it's a little
Netflix
more
special.
well-known.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. No, continue. Sorry.
No, that's okay. So, they were known as the Bhatia family, and they were a middle-class family. They had a grocery store that they ran and a plywood shop, and they lived together in this 3-story house. Their ages ranged from 80 to 15. There were mothers, children, father-in-laws, cousins, etc. I won't go through all of them because it's, a tangled web of family. But there were a mother and father living there named Bopal and Narayani, who had 2 sons and a daughter. Bopal, the father, died in 2007, so this one's pretty recent as well. Their youngest son, named Lalit, was about 34 at the time of his father's passing. Lalit suddenly became really introverted after his father passed away, and he told his family that his father had possessed him. And his father was instructing him on how to, quote, attain a good life. So he, along with his 2 younger nieces, Priyanka and Neetu, started keeping track of what the father was supposedly telling Lalit to do to attain a good life. So they tracked it and wrote it down. And that's kind of all we know about about that segment. So cut to the morning of July 1, so, 11 years later. Ironically, 11 years later, their neighbor, I have no idea how to say this, Gurkaran Singh, noticed that Lalit, the son, did not go on his morning walks, nor had they opened either their grocery shop or their plywood shop. Here's what the neighbor discovered. 2 men, 6 women, and 2 teens were found hanging in the courtyard in batches of 3. The grandmother, who is Lalit's mother and the wife of the deceased Bopal, the father, was found dead in another room by herself. She was strangled. So some of the bodies had their feet tied and their hands tied behind their backs. Their faces were wrapped with cloth from a bed sheet, and their ears were filled with cotton. There were 5 stools, so 11 people, but there were 5 stools. So it was assumed that they shared them in groups of 3, minus the grandmother, who was in the bedroom. There were no signs of struggle or foul play, which is odd. They did have a pet dog who was okay. He was a survivor. I will
That's
never
good.
tell a bad pet story. I hate those so much.
Same.
Yeah, Jackie was okay.
Can't do it. Yeah.
Police at first ruled it a murder-suicide, and then they ruled it a suicide pact. So then later, the police, as they investigated the scene, they found 11 diaries in Priyanka and Neetu's handwriting. So these were the nieces that wrote down everything Lalit said his father was saying. They described in these diaries this exact scenario, the hanging scenario. The diary stated they should be in batches of 3, that the eldest couldn't stand up, so she would need to be on the bed. And these diaries were purported to contain rituals that the deceased father had recommended they do. So all those years in this house, it's assumed that they were doing all these weird rituals according to what the dad said they should do. And Lily is allegedly the mastermind behind all of this. So here's the weird part. All of their suicides were described in the diaries just as they happened, like I told you, except according to, I found this on Wikipedia, the diary also mentions, quote, everyone will tie their own hands, and when the kriya, which is the ritual that they were performing, is done, then everyone will help each other untie their hands. So this indicated that the family was not expecting to die. They were told to untie their hands. And even furthering that idea that they did not expect to die was that the 33-year-old Priyanka niece had just gotten engaged, and the night before at 11 p.m. still she was shopping for her wedding. So they found it on her internet records. So yeah.
Wow. So they really thought that they were gonna pop right back.
Yeah, they thought it was just another ritual to honor their dad, from what it seems. Police did speak to another family member who was not in the house who survived, and he believes it was a it was a well thought out murder, because he says if Lalit the son, the mastermind, had done it, his hands would not have also been tied.
Interesting.
Yeah, because they all had their hands tied.
But then, were there any suspects or anything?
I couldn't find anything about that. It just sort of my online research. Now, I didn't watch the Netflix special. Maybe there's something more in detail about
some theories or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all I could find online through several articles. And psychologists say that this was a case of the family having a shared disorder, which apparently is a thing, and it was led by Lalit. And that is the 11.
I wonder about the grandma too. Like, I wonder if, because she was just straight up strangled. So like,
Yeah.
And I know that it was in the diaries, but like, yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, because
she brainwashed a whole family, right?
Right, because she wasn't hanging.
Yeah.
And if they all didn't expect to die, someone killed her.
Right?
Because I don't think it's possible to strangle yourself. I mean,
unless, yeah, I mean, I don't want to get like too morbid, but unless you like, like possible. Robin Williams and stuff, yeah, but not laying down in bed like that, like it wouldn't be. That's so bizarre.
Yeah,
that's really bizarre.
Yes, very weird.
Is it an open case still, or is it just sort of like? No,
I believe it is, because no article I found they just said it was a shared disorder, and there's thoughts that they didn't expect to die, and I don't know. I'm not sure if they're still investigating it. But yeah, that's the information.
I don't know why, but that one gave me like chills a little bit. That one creeped me out a little.
Yeah, it's pretty creepy. Maybe our fuckers will have more information on it. Yeah.
Are we sticking with? Is that what they are?
Guys, tell us what you think about being called fuckers in the nicest way possible. Okay.
Oh man! All right, so that's 2. So we had the Russian recluses, the
True Russian Orthodox Church, and the 11.
Right. Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
So our third one, also pretty modern. This one is called OneTaste. And it's one word, capital ONE, and then capital TASTE, OneTaste.
Okay.
This was actually started as a startup company.
I'm not surprised. So honestly, I've never heard of this, but the moment you described how it was spelt, I was like,
bullshit.
Is this like tech bros that were creating this company?
Tech girls.
Cool.
Yeah.
Tech girls. Very
women,
cool.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. The cult part isn't, but like women in tech. Awesome.
Just wait.
Yeah. All right.
This was headed by Nicole Daydon. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. Daydon or Daydon. I'm just going to say Daydon from now on. She was the CEO, and Rachel Churwitz, who was the head of sales. So 2 women started this. It was marketed as a sexual wellness company, and they sold the benefits of orgasmic meditation and quote unquote slow sex. They mostly marketed to women, which they called oming, like oming.
Oh no, I get
meditation.
It. Yeah.
Or
dude, the appropriation levels here are like,
I know, and I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I took it as oming, like meditation, but it may be OMing now that I think of it, like orgasmic meditating.
Oh, it's probably a pun.
I probably should have looked that up, but I just thought of it. So we'll call it OMing, orgasmic meditating.
Yeah.
They marketed that women should get, quote, turned on in every aspect of their life, not just sex. And they needed to heal their mind-body connection. So it sounds like a healthy thing.
Yeah. Relationship with your body and stuff. Yeah.
It sounds pretty tame. But the cost of just one course, so they sold courses that women would attend and learn how to orgasm, learn how to be turned on by things they wouldn't normally be turned on by, establish better relationships with their partners, explore other partners. The cost of just one course would cost as much as $7,500. And it was even
Wow.
more if a man wanted to join, which is hilarious. It's like a club.
Yeah.
Members could pay also for a year-long membership at the low cost of $60,000. And then if
Wow.
it's kind of like yoga. If you wanted to learn how to teach yoga, you could also do that. So students could come in. They would have to pay $499 for a weekend course, $4,000 for a retreat, $12,000 for the entire coaching program, and $16,000 for an intensive. So the people that wanted to teach this OneTaste OMing, they would go on to work for the company selling courses for commission, so passing on the word. And at one point, they even managed to get an endorsement from Khloe Kardashian.
Really?
Yeah,
Interesting.
so they
All
got
right.
some celebs behind them.
Yeah.
Anyone who questioned the prices of either students or people just attending these courses, anyone who questioned the high prices was told that money is just an emotional obstacle to your wellness and that they had a, quote, scarcity mindset. So
Interesting.
real toxic, right? Super toxic.
Yeah. It's not toxic for them, but it's toxic
Right.
for people who are paying. Yeah. Sure.
Budgeting is
Right.
so toxic.
Yes.
So employees it was a pyramid scheme. Employees were brought in
Of course.
to target vulnerable women and men to join. And like sexual trauma victims were targeted a lot as customers,
messed up.
divorced
Yeah.
people, lonely people, et cetera, et cetera. So basically people that were having a hard time in their lives were really taken advantage of and had to spend all their money. Otherwise they would be a scarce little bitch. But
that's rough.
here's the problem. The employees of this startup were actually forced to engage in sexual acts with each other.
Wow,
And
that got a
employees.
lot darker.
Yep.
Because I can kind of live with a pyramid scheme, like whatever, right? I mean, if people want to pay, supply and demand, whatever. But
right.
That's messed up.
Yep. Super messed up. So they
By
brought
the way,
in
not condoning pyramid schemes at all. I'm not condoning it. I was just saying that. Yeah.
We've all been victimized by a pyramid scheme.
Yeah, exactly.
Customers would be lured in. Oh, you're lonely? We can teach you how to love your life again and meditate. And then they would have to have sex with the employees. And then the employees would have to have sex with the customers. And obviously this didn't come easily. It's not like the employees just agreed to this. It started to resemble a prostitution ring, actually. An audiovisual specialist who worked for OneTaste came out in 2008 and sued the company because she was forced to do these sexual acts on people. Hamza Tayeb was part of OneTaste for about a decade, which is a very long time. The members went as far to tell him that his own son was holding him back and he was absolved of all his responsibility to his son because he needed to do this instead. OneTaste.
Wow.
So they basically separated people from their families, and it got real culty. They would have events sometimes, and they would call it Magic School in California, where they had performers, snakes. They offered piercings. And at this event, Dayton, who is the CEO of the company, she named a small group of attendees of this magic school as the, you laugh, quote, priests and priestesses of orgasm. She just picked out a few and they were the ones. And the company really quickly started to be like a religion. Like that sounds like that, what is that Tom Cruise, Nicole Kidman movie that's like sex culty?
Eyes Wide Shut?
Yes, that one.
Eyes Wide Shut.
That's immediately what I thought of.
Yeah.
So they also promoted something called aversion practice, which was telling a member that they can gain power and sexual energy by having sex with people you find disgusting or don't want to have sex with. So that's how they kind of kept the ring going. So if I found you
Dude.
completely unattractive, they'd be like, well, that's your challenge that you have to get over. Aversion practice so you can open your mind and body more by having sex with this disgusting person or someone you are uncomfortable
or
with.
someone you just hate. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, God. So they turned it
Dude,
into like,
that's
you're weak if you don't to keep the sex going.
dude.
Yeah. It was alleged that
How do
Daedon
people
and
think of
Churwitz, the
this
two
stuff?
ladies that started it, they would target really vulnerable people, like I said, to join by using flirtation and sex to lure them. Once these people were in, they were forced to live communally, and they were threatened with castigation from the organization, name calling, financial threats if anyone tried to leave. So that's how they kept people in.
Yeah.
And if
Yeah.
they refused to have sex with the other members or customers, they were humiliated and embarrassed with withheld pay. So they would punish them if they didn't want to have sex with who they said they should have sex with. So this all came out. A Bloomberg article came out in 2018 that exposed the company, and that is when the FBI was alerted to this organization or cult. They opened an investigation into prostitution, sex trafficking, and violations of labor law. And in 2023, Daedon and Churwitz were indicted on charges of forced labor conspiracy, and several other members since then have sued for sex trafficking. And that is a cute little startup called OneTaste.
Dude, that's so crazy. And what's really messed up too is that they made these people pay to do their classes and whatever, and then they traffic them.
Yep.
Which is just how much more exploitative can you get?
Yeah. They were paid,
wild.
or they paid, excuse me, to have sex with people that they were actually like disgusted by and thought that they were gaining power and becoming these priestesses or something.
It's
completely
awful.
bananas.
Really awful.
So,
yeah.
Okay. Here's how we're going to try to do apples to apples because these are wildly different from each other.
Yeah.
We're going to say you were, for the True Russian Orthodox Church, we're going to say you were one of the members that had to stay all the way through the end, and you only came out when the dead bodies started stinking.
Okay.
And like too many fumes. So that's your choice for that one.
Mm-hmm.
For the 11, you honor your dad and you think you're doing a good deed and you die, but you don't know you're going to die. So it's like you're not in it for life. And then the third one is you're an employee of OneTaste and you're forced to do aversion practice and you're in it for a decade. So go on. Okay. Fuck, marry, kill.
All right. I think I know already.
They're all
and
purple.
I'll explain my thought process.
Yeah.
So I'm marrying the Russian, called the
True Russian Orthodox.
I keep True Russian Orthodox. Yeah. And I'm marrying that just because it's like, okay, that period of time in that cave was probably disgusting. We haven't talked about indoor plumbing or like any of that stuff. There's dead bodies, but like even before the dead bodies, it was probably pretty nasty in there.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah. They never came out.
Not good stuff. Mm-hmm. Not good stuff. But on the other hand, maybe the first few days might have been okay. You're with your like people in a cave. I don't know. And then you get out and then you're back to your life. Maybe. I mean, obviously with tremendous amount of like PTSD and trauma and stuff.
Oh, yeah. All three of these. Yeah. Well,
all three of these.
They didn't survive the second one. So all two of them.
Yeah. All two of them. So that one I'm going to marry, but here's where it gets tricky with the other two, because, obviously in one of them you don't make it, right? And with the OneTaste, there are so many survivors and like they made it, and that is not like, that's not worse than dying, right? Because you made it, you came out the other side and you're stronger. But for the sake of this game, I think that the organization of OneTaste is just so messed up.
Yeah.
and so vile and cruel what these people did. Whereas like the 11, it's either a murder case and this family was put in this position, or people like truly believe that their father had come back and they were going through a group trauma. Like, I'm not sure. So that's why I'm fucking the 11 and I'm going to kill OneTaste.
Interesting. I like
Yeah.
those. I had your same thought process. I battled with the 11 and the OneTaste because it's like, do you want a surprise die, but you're with your family and you get to be with the ones you love and you think you're doing a good thing? Or do you have like serious mental health consequences for the rest of your life and possibly diseases? Who knows? I don't know. You could come out with anything from that thing.
Safety measures are.
Yeah. I would also marry the cave people because they were in a shitty situation, but it wasn't like they were hurting each other, or I mean they were, but like they didn't. It wasn't anything horrific. I think I guess I would fuck the OneTaste and kill the 11 because at least you have your life and there's therapy and there's medicine.
Totally.
And
no, and I totally see that.
Yeah.
I
And maybe you
that
come
was a
out with
struggle.
maybe you come out with some millions because
Huge settlement case.
Yeah. So I guess we finally have different answers.
Yeah, seriously. Look at that. First time.
Yeah.
On a really hard one though,
I know. I tried to make it hard.
I had this and I had the same like thought process about it because it's like there are survivors and of course they're still like happy to have, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that organization, I just couldn't separate it.
Nasty. Yeah. There's so many cults like that.
Yeah.
Sex cults too.
Oh my gosh, it's terrible.
Was it at Nexium or something that there was a big special on it? I think it's called Nexium.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
There's so many on Netflix now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Way too much.
And listeners, please tell us your thoughts, who you would fuck, marry, kill, and send us your suggestions of subjects we should try out and interesting stories we should tell. And thank you for listening. And we'll see you on the next one.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.
See you soon. Bye-bye.